for an overview of the events that trailed the conduct of the primaries in APC Lagos, what went wrong and what it portends for the stability of the party in the state, as well as what efforts are being made to address and redress all grievances. We're now being joined by Seye Oladejo, who is the spokesperson for the APC Lagos chapter. Good afternoon. Many thanks for joining us here on Newsday.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Great. Now, when we listened to that report from our chief correspondent, the descriptions were the description of the process was described as an imposition, there was lack of inclusion, selective enforcement. If you were asked to describe the process, how would you sum it up?
Seamless.
Okay.
Typical of the political class, we're always very eloquent, very persuasive and all of that, trying to sell our own position to the members of the public. But let me just tell you, by the time you voluntarily choose to be a member of a political party, an association, a group of people, as it were, it behoves that you submit yourself to the Constitution and the rules and guidelines guiding such relationship. Perhaps it will augur well for members of a typical political party to avail themselves, familiarize themselves with the rules and the guidelines and the constitution of the party. When Seye released the guidelines for these elections, we also released ours, which was in tandem with the provisions of the constitution of our party, which allows consensus, the emergence of our candidates by consensus or by direct or indirect primaries, and that was precisely what took place. So alleging imposition, it's all in tune with the expression of freedom of expression and their right to protest. And we're also not mindful of this. We're not going to dismiss any kind of protest or petition, and the appeal committee is taking good care of that. It's not strange. It's a price to pay for success at the polls since 1999, so you can understand the passion. I don't want to use the word desperation because it's almost certain if you pick APC ticket in Lagos, most likely you win the elections.
You heard a report, and one of the issues was the fact that someone had more or less overstayed his tenure, as it were. And one wonders, isn't there some kind of monitoring mechanism to ensure that, hey, look, you're not supposed to do certain things which is against the party's constitution?
Are we talking about the allegation of a third term and all of that?
Yeah, part of,
As much as I want to avoid individual complaints, but let me just tell you, it was deliberate, very intentional for us to have a legal head, a rare combination of political experience and legal mind as the chairman of the electoral committee in the person of Mr. Babatunde Ogala, SAN, who I dare say would have interrogated the law as regards what constitute legal terms of office for the individual aspirants, as it were. I don't want to preempt the outcome or the findings of the appeal committee, so you permit me to just leave that aside. But let me just tell you, our party is just about the rule of law. We are not going to do anything that runs foul of our own constitution, and I can assure you, all those members, aspirants, protesting or sending petitions, we not only have justice, justice will be sent to be served.
Okay. The optimism is great, and your stance is accepted. But when you look at the different opinions or experiences that we're looking at from what happened in the primaries, would you say that these might be indicative of deeper factional tensions within Lagos APC?
On the contrary, it means that in the APC we enjoy maximum freedom to express ourselves, to be able to aspire within the confines of the rules of the party, and that no one is gagged to really freely want to put out there to the public the way they feel. So the platform is a great one, and good enough, we have a mechanism to really address all those issues and approach the election with a united front. On the contrary, situations like these often knit our party together, and we always get on top of it to get the expected victory.
More optimism from you, but let's look at it realistically. If the grumblings by some people, as we saw in that report, persist going into the elections, don't you think that's a bit of a negative here when it comes to...
No, it's not. The good news is that no one really loses out in our party. That's the truth. If you don't get this, you stand a good chance of getting something else. There have been cases of people who couldn't run for chairmanship as they wanted it, and later made the state cabinet. So it's a grand rule that we're all members of the same party. We can express our grounds within the limits of decency within the party. It's a good thing that it's still a protest, which is quite acceptable as a democratic norm. No violence, no resort of violence, and all of that. So rather than disintegrate the party, we will get on top of it. There are so many examples. We've had cantankerous governorship primaries in the past, and somehow we always manage to come together. That's the progressive family for you. And that's our selling point, our strength.
All right. Okay. At least you see why you're the spokesperson. But what specific party structures might have failed in oversight responsibilities that led to these reports of imposition and whatnot?
I think members have a duty to understand those ground rules guiding the primaries. You could find members mobilizing members of the party, market women and men go on the street to protest. Those were not the people that were delegates for the election. The delegates for the elections, the electoral college was made up of local government area executives of the party who now constituted the delegates. Those were the people that they should have canvassed for their votes. They need to understand the rules for these elections and also know the process of appeal. And we can only hope. There's an appeal panel headed by Mr. Lawal Pedro, SAN, Attorney General and Honorable Commissioner for Justice in Lagos, who is looking at all these complaints, and they will be well taken care of.
Okay, to a large extent, what are you telling those who are aggrieved right now, irrespective of the optimism you've shown towards this incident, as it were?
We should all remember that we are members of the same family. This is just the APC primary elections. It's not yet the general elections, and we all have a duty to continue to maintain the peace, to continue to acknowledge and appreciate the trust and confidence of Lagosians in the Progressive Party, and to know that when we shoot our sword, we can all still come back to address those issues and not betray the confidence reposed in us by the people. And I'm very positive, as usual, and that everything all will be well.
Okay. Now, but what measurable impact do you think these disputes might have or have had when it comes to grassroots mobilization capacity?
Well, it only goes to the extent that our members need to be better informed and also need to purge themselves of the assumption that whenever a primary comes up, there will be some kind of imposition everywhere. The refrain among the leadership is there should be a level playing field for everybody. We don't have new members in the party to the extent that you'll be denied your right to contest. And let me also add that you won't find any member of a political party that is not ambitious. The entire thing is about contesting to seek elective office. That much right is guaranteed by our constitution. So, but be that as it may, that still has to be done within the confines of decency and what is acceptable by everybody. So we need to continue to enlighten ourselves, to continue to appreciate the democracy that we have, for which we have no alternative, and while we continue to grow, to also ensure that whatever we do is all about impacting the society positively.
And talking about optics now, how do you think reactions from other opposition groups in terms of the other political parties probably might be thinking, hey, maybe we can leverage on this scenario?
The problem in Lagos really is the ineptitude of the opposition party. I can assure you, as of today, there's a party that is offering its nomination forms for free, and they're still struggling to have people come forward to pick up their forms to run for the elections. And it's always very common. The opposition is already alleging rigging even before the election. That will interest you. But how do you allege rigging in an election where you are so poor that you can't even have party agents? That means that in a particular polling booth that has a catchment number of 500 voters, you don't even have a member. And then you turn around to allege rigging. And that also speaks to voters' apathy, because the opposition is not providing an alternative. People should be able to say that, okay, if I'm not going with this party, I'll go with that party. So you find a lot of voters being indifferent that majority of the voters already made up their minds to vote APC because the opposition just exists on paper, or at best, they have occasional interviews on the rise.
All right, Mr. Seye Oladejo, also the eternal Oladejo, excuse me, also known as the eternal optimist. Thank you so much for your insight here on Newsday. We wish you well in your pursuits.
Thank you very much. And the good performance of our governor and the outgoing local government chairman also speak volume and gives us great optimism to sweep the polls come July 12.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All
Thank
the
you
best.
so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.